Good morning, students. This is Miss Clark. We are going to start on Lesson 4, Unbiased and Biased Samples. So just real quick, when we look right here on the first page, a TV programming manager wants to conduct a survey to determine which reality television shows are a favorite of viewers in certain viewing areas. He considered 3 different samples. Draw an X through 2 samples that would not fairly represent all the people in the viewing area. Well, I've already done 2 X's. This one says 100 people that are trying out for a reality show. That would not be fair because, of course, they're going to pick whatever favorite one they're trying out for. 100 students at your middle school. Middle school is just a very small part of a population, so they would have different views than the older people, say parents and grandparents. So here, every 100th person. So that one is very random. They're just picking as they walk in. So now we're going to look at the different types. We have simple random samples. Simple random is each person in a population is as likely to be chosen as any other. So each student's name is written on a piece of paper, the names are placed in a bowl, and they're picked without looking. That is completely random. Systematic random is the items or people are selected according to a specific time or item interval. So every 20th person or every 100th student, something like that. So those simple random and systematic random are both unbiased. So when we're talking about bias, there's 2 different types here. We have a convenience sample and a voluntary response sample. Convenience sample consists of members of a population that are easily accessed. So I could say all the kids in Miss Clark's class. That would not represent all of the students in our school. Voluntary response is people who want to participate. So if we're in class and I said, okay, who wants to give me their choice of favorite pizza toppings, and only 5 people answer, that's a voluntary response. I didn't make everybody do it, so that would be considered bias. So let's look at the examples. Determine whether the conclusion is valid and then justify your answer. A random sample of students at a middle school shows that 10 students prefer listening to rock, 15 hip hop, 25 no music while they exercise. It can be concluded that half the students prefer no music while they exercise. They said that because 10 plus 15 is 25. So 25 listen to music, 25 do not. This one is random. It's a simple random sample, so it is unbiased. So since it is unbiased, our conclusion is valid. Next example. Determine whether each conclusion is valid. Justify your answer. Every 10th person who walks into the department store is surveyed to determine his or her music preference. So every 10th person, that is unbiased, and it would be systematic random sample. So it's right here because it's every 10th person. The customers of a music store are surveyed to determine their favorite leisure time activity. Okay, so they survey just customers of a music store. Unbiased or biased? Well, this would be biased because if I'm in a music store, what do I like to do? I like to listen to music. So this was a convenience sample because they were in the music store. So it is biased and it is a convenience sample. So let's do a radio station ask its listeners to indicate their preference for one of 2 candidates in an upcoming election. 72% of the listeners who responded preferred candidate A. So the radio station announced that candidate A would win the election. Is the conclusion valid? Justify your answer. So let's look at it this way. If it is a country music radio station versus a rock and roll radio station, that's two different types of people. So would this be biased or unbiased? It is biased, so it is not valid. This was a voluntary response because they only got answers from the people who called in. So it was not anything every 10th caller or every other caller. It was just those who chose to call in. So not only that, it's a specific genre of music and it was voluntary. So again, this would be not valid. Okay, so now we're going to make inferences about a population. Valid sampling method uses unbiased samples. So in order for it to be valid, it has to be unbiased. If a sampling method is valid, you can use the data to make inferences or conclusions about the population. So a store sells 3 types of pants, sells jeans, capris, and cargos. They surveyed 50 customers at random. So here's our thing. At random. So first, is it valid? Yes, because they surveyed at random. So it's a simple random sample. So if we look at our chart, 25 people prefer jeans out of 50 total. So that's 50% of the customers. So 50% of 450 pants, 225 of them would be jeans. So they would order 225 jeans. Guided practice. So let's look at this, guys. Zach is trying to decide which of 3 golf courses is the best. He randomly surveyed people. So since it is a simple random sample, it is valid. So it is valid because it was a simple random. So let's get our total first. How many total people did he survey? You're going to add these up, and that gives me 25. So how many prefer Rolling Meadows? 7 out of 25. So I'm going to come back over here. 7 out of 25. We want to know 150. Well, I know 6 quarters gives me $1.50. 7 times 6 is 42. So 42 people. Number 2. Find out how much money the average American family spends to cool their home. 100 Alaskan families are surveyed at random. Alaskan families surveyed at random. Of these families, 85 said that they spend less than $75 per month on cooling. The researcher concluded that the average American family spends less than $75 on cooling per month. Is this valid? So let's think of the average American family. Where do we live? In Texas. Do you think the climate in Texas is the same as Alaska? No. So whereas they spend $75 per month, we might spend in the summer months $100 to $200 to cool our home. So this one is not valid. It was biased. It was a convenient sample. Maybe this researcher was in Alaska, so they just surveyed the Alaskan people. So it is biased. And it was a convenience. The reason behind this is we could say that they have a different climate than the majority of the states, or they're always a lot cooler than the southern states, anything like that to make your explanation. So my explanation would be due to the climate in other states, this would not be valid. How to use data from random samples to make inferences about a population. Guys, as long as the sample is random, you can use the data to make predictions. If it is biased, you cannot use that information. So, your assignment is going to complete the independent practice, numbers 1 through 5. I will see y'all soon. Bye-bye.